The stages of listening to Boise State Public Radio podcasts. Step 1, testing the waters. You tune into an episode or two. Nothing too serious. Step 2, you got a little hooked on one of those series like Extremely American or Scandalized, and now you're binging. No judgment, but you did listen to it in one day. Step 3, now you're subscribed to a feed. You get notifications to your phone every time there's a new daily episode of The Connector or Idaho Matters. I see where this is going. Step 4, you realize how much time you're spending with Boise State Public Radio podcasts and the fact that it doesn't cost you a dime. Step 5, you decide to step up and support your podcast listening because you can, because you want to, not because you have to. All right, now's the time, you podcast fan you. Go to boisestatepublicradio.org and click donate to support your love of Boise State Public Radio podcast listening today.
From the studios of Boise State Public Radio News, I'm Gemma Gaudette. This is Idaho Matters. It's that time of year again when we look back at 2024 and ahead to 2025. So let's get started with our What to Watch Year in Review. Here with us for his annual top 10 list is our resident movie critic and, of course, host of Morning Edition, the wonderful George Prentice. Hi, George.
Happy holidays to everyone. And I bring you great tidings of good joy.
Well, you bring us good movies, good TV. Mm-hmm. So let's start with your top 10.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to get right into it. Number 10, George.
Indeed. Let's start with number 10. Now, I'm going to start a little small now. This is a movie that I adored. It was a small movie. You do have to search it out, but it really claimed a piece of my heart. And this is a movie, by the way, that is still playing in theaters, but probably not for long. And it is titled Night Bitch. It's a provocative title. It is a provocative title. And by the way, the bitch refers to dogs, just so you know. But This is a movie starring the wonderful, always wonderful Amy Adams, unlike you've ever seen her before. And it's based on a 2021 novel, which I adored. And it is about a woman who has given birth to her first child, but she was a professional. And she is, quite frankly, internally rather resentful about this life that she has to have and that no one seems to understand, including her husband. So I'm going to play a clip here. And this is Amy Adams' character in a grocery store with her newborn son, and one of her former colleagues sees her, and I'm sure most women can relate to this. And the colleague says, "Oh, look at you, so adorable, and it must be so nice to have all of this free time on your own." Oh. So you will hear Amy Adams actually, you'll hear what she's thinking, what she'd like to say. But then you'll hear what she does say. This is from Night Bitch.
Stop. Oh, we need some crunchy snacks, right?
Hi.
Oh, hi. Oh, my God. Sally, what are you doing here?
I'm visiting my mom for the weekend.
Oh, baby, this is Sally. Yeah, Sally took over your mom's job at the gallery after you were born.
Oh, he's super cute. Do you just love getting to be home with him all the time? Must be so wonderful.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a good question, you know? But it's complicated, though, because, I mean, I would love to feel content. But instead, I feel like I'm just stuck inside of a prison of my own creation where I torment myself until I'm left binge eating Fig Newtons at midnight to keep from crying. And I feel like societal norms and gender expectations and just plain old biology have forced me to become this person that I don't recognize, and I'm just angry all the time, like all the time. And I would love to direct some of my own artwork towards a critique of the modern day systems that articulate this, but my brain just doesn't function the way that it did before I had the baby, and I'm dumb now. And I am deeply afraid that I am never going to be smart or happy or thin ever again.
Do you just love getting to be home with him all the time? Must be so wonderful.
Oh, yeah, I do. I love it. I do. I love being a mom.
Oh my gosh, it's just brilliant. And by the
George?
way, not too much of a spoiler alert here, but one night she sees that some of her teeth are becoming sharp, and she opens up the front door, and the neighborhood dogs, which is to say the bitches, are all there lined up at her door, and she goes for overnight jogs where the dogs run with her. She basically becomes one of them, but it's a pretty wonderful movie, and you never saw this one coming.
I'll tell you, that monologue, I felt that in my soul. I felt that in my soul, George. And we do not talk about that enough in our society, and we need to talk about that. So, wow. Okay, that's on my list. Let's go to number 9.
Okay, here comes a preview. I've seen this one. It doesn't open till Christmas Day, but it is a film that a lot of people are going to talk about. It is A Complete Unknown. It is the biopic of Bob Dylan, starring Timothy Chalamet as Bob Dylan. And it is pretty great. There are moments in it. But for someone to play Bob Dylan, you've got to sound like Bob Dylan. And how do you do that without sounding like a crazy impression? But Timothy Chalamet pulls it off. So I've got an exclusive clip here where Bob Dylan, played by Timothy Chalamet, is hanging out in an apartment of Joan Baez, who is played by the wonderful actress Monica Barbaro. And Bob Dylan is basically a jerk. And he's a womanizing jerk, and Joan Baez but she can't oversee his brilliance. And she literally throws him a piece of paper and says, "Here, play this." And he grabs a guitar and he starts playing, and she starts harmonizing with him. And it becomes, well, take a listen.
How many years must a mountain exist before it is washed to the sea? How many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? Yes, and how many times can a man turn his head, pretend that he doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
You almost get chills in this scene because it is the birth of an anthem. And they pull it off because it is him just playing the guitar and the two of them singing. I will also call out that the supporting cast is wonderful in this. So it is called A Complete Unknown. It will open Christmas Day. And Timothy Chalamet, as cute as this kid is, he's awfully talented. And this is a movie to see.
So that was really him singing.
Indeed it was.
Wow.
And
That's
tell me that
incredible.
wasn't Bob Dylan.
Well, that's why I asked you that.
Right.
George. That's exactly why I asked. I wanted to double check.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
pretty great. He does all of his own singing.
That's really incredible. All right, number 8 on the list.
Another small movie, and you and I talked about this one. It is called The Outrun, starring the always amazing Saoirse Ronan, who plays a young woman who goes to an island off the north coast of Scotland just to get away and struggle with her addiction, but to also kind of reconnect with her artistry. And she's a poet. And there is a scene, and here's a connection to Christmas. There is a scene where she is all alone on Christmas, and the weather is so rough in the North Sea that there are no ferries, there are no planes, and she is alone in basically a shed on this island. But she is writing poetry about who she is and what she has become, and it is, I think, pretty magical.
In grandiose moments, high on fresh air and freedom on the hill, I study my personal geology. My body is a continent. I grind my teeth in my sleep like tectonic plates. When I blink, the sun flickers. My breath pushes the clouds across the sky, and the waves roll into the shore in time with my beating heart. The island's headlands rise above the sea like my limbs in the bathtub.
The poetry
My
is
freckles are
beautiful.
famous
It's a small
landmarks.
film, a small
And my
budget.
tears,
It is called The
rivers.
Outrun. You will need to search this film out. Saoirse Ronan made another movie called Blitz, which is out now and is getting a lot more attention. But for my money, this was one of the best performances of the year. It was called The Outrun.
Number 7, George.
Well, next come what I consider to be the two best films of the year, and believe it or not, they are both musicals. They couldn't be further apart, though. There is a film, and you may have heard about this, called Emilia Perez on Netflix. It is a crime drama, and it is a musical, co-starring Zoe Saldana and Selena Gomez. And I don't think it's too much of a spoiler, because if you type in Emilia Gomez, you quickly find out that the lead character, who is an awful crime lord, wants to have a sex change. And he becomes a she, a sympathetic she, and sings as well. But in this movie are these big musical numbers where people are talking about the drama in their lives, including what I think is going to be a hit. Here comes Mi Camino. And this is being sung by Selena Gomez, who is a co-star in this film. It is her first song that she has performed in Spanish. I think she's up definitely for Best Supporting Actress. And I can already imagine what the Oscars are going to look like when these big production numbers from this crazy movie called Emilia Perez are played out, co-starring Selena Gomez, who we love from Only Murders in the Building, but most of her fans love her from her music, and then this great dramatic performance which combines her music.
Okay, so then, George, you said there's another musical that we need to talk about.
It is number 6, and it is the juggernaut that is Wicked. How can you avoid Wicked? Which my guess will probably get something like 10 Oscar nominations, because when you consider the stagecraft and the music and the costumes and the cinematography, the performances too, and Cynthia Erivo is most certainly going to be nominated for Best Actress. And the word is that Ariana Grande wants to be put up for Best Supporting Actress, even though I think her role is just as big. And I think her performance is a powerhouse. And while most people love the song Popular from Wicked, boy, when you see it on the big screen, it's wonderful. Let's listen.
And though you protest your disinterest, I know clandestinely you're gonna grin and bear it, your newfound popularity. Just not quite as popular as me.
How many people don't sing in the car when they hear this song? Popular. And Ariana Grande is wonderful, as is Cynthia Erivo, but it's the soundtrack of the year. It's most probably the movie of the year.
Wow, it really is just incredible to see the two of them.
It's
on
great.
Screen. Truly, yeah. Okay, George, we're at number 5.
We are. One of my favorite holiday traditions of the year are the Kennedy Center Honors.
Yes.
And this year, they are honoring the Grateful Dead, Francis Ford Coppola, Bonnie Raitt, Arturo Sandoval, and others. It will be televised this coming Sunday on CBS. It's a not miss, right? It combines the holidays, and their performances are surprises for the honorees. I would like to single out the amazing Bonnie Raitt, who has been at it for 50 plus years, right? And I have heard that some of the people that will be there to sing some of her songs and honor her will include Sheryl Crow, Emmylou Harris, Dave Matthews will sing some of her music, but I had to dig out some Bonnie Raitt and some Bonnie Raitt Christmas.
Now I'm feeling mighty fine. I got good music on my radio. Fine. I got all that good music on my radio. I wanna kiss you, baby, while you're standing neath the mistletoe.
There's nobody like her. And the Kennedy Center always seems to get it right. Just when you think, oh my gosh, they've honored everyone. Well, Bonnie Raitt, I can't wait to see this. By the way, can I name drop a little bit? When I was in Sun Valley, I got a chance to interview Gia Coppola, who has a new movie out called The Last Showgirl. And we were talking backstage, and I said, oh, are you going home? She says, no, I'm going to D.C. to honor my grandfather. And I said, your Francis Ford Coppola. So she said, oh, yes, the family will all be there. And by the way, for Francis Ford Coppola, there will be Al Pacino. There will be Martin Scorsese. This is one of the great, great shows of the year every Christmas time, and it'll be on this Sunday on CBS.
Okay, George, number 4.
Well, I had to dig back into my archives for this one. I think the man who may be best associated with Christmas through much of the 20th century was Bing Crosby and White Christmas. But most of us also remember Bing Crosby's annual Christmas specials, and they were lively, but always ending with White Christmas. His last special, and he filmed it before he died, but it aired, but he died just before Christmas, and the special aired just after he died. The last special he ever taped was when he went to England and taped a special, and you may remember his now famous duet with David Bowie of The Little Drummer Boy. But a lot of people forget that one of his other guests that year was Twiggy, who had not done too much singing, but because of her appearance on the special, got a Broadway gig, and she became the lead in My One and Only and became a musical comedy star. But here's a very poignant and rather frail Bing Crosby singing with Twiggy, and your heart breaks just a little bit.
Faithful friends who were dear to us, gather near to us once more.
Through the years we all will be together, if the fates allow.
Hang a shining star upon the highest bough.
And that's easily a quarter century old now. And so I had to dig back into the archives for that. But Bing Crosby, right? Have yourself a little Christmas, Merry Little Christmas. I love that one. I just wanted to share that.
Okay, so George, your number 3.
Well, it has just been announced that this 2025's host of the Academy Awards will be Conan O'Brien. And I think he'll be just swell. So I went back to 2004. This is 20 years old now, when Conan O'Brien hooked up with a rather traditional group of carolers, all dressed up, in their carol outfits. And he said, "Oh, let's go door to door." And it didn't always go great, including when they came to someone's door who they were busy just watching a television show. But let's listen in.
Quick question. My vocal range, what are we talking about here? Would you say that I'm baritone? Sound baritone-like, yes.
Give me a test.
A test?
Yeah.
Why not hit this note? Want to match what I'm doing.
I am. I think you're off. Can we get this straight?
Now bring us a figgy pudding. Now bring us a figgy pudding. Now bring us a figgy pudding. And bring some right here.
Hi, how are you? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
We're just caroling, and in ancient times, people would carol, and the people listening would be so overjoyed by their caroling that they would invite them inside and give them a figgy pudding. Do you have a figgy pudding? Any pudding at all? Oatmeal? Granola bar?
Granola bar?
You have a granola bar?
Yeah.
Are you guys watching Law and Order?
So they all go inside and watch Law and Order. I just love that one.
Oh, okay. Number 2, George.
Okay, we're getting into the sentimental piece now. I think the worst kept secret is that my favorite television show currently is All Creatures Great and Small. And a new season is about to hit Idaho Public Television. I have seen this full season already. And as you know, it always ends with a Christmas episode. So let's go back to last year's Christmas episode, right? And James is away. He has now enlisted into World War II, but he's away from his family. And his wife, Helen, is very pregnant. And when he calls home, she's worried about the pregnancy. And James somehow gets a 2-day leave to get home. And let's listen in.
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas, young'uns! Merry Christmas! Helen!
James, what's she doing here?
Helen! Helen!
Is she upstairs?
She is.
Helen?
James? What on earth?
Oh, God, I've missed you. I've missed you so much. I needed to see you. I tried to get to you.
Oh, be careful with me, James. Yes.
When?
Last night.
Where were you? How was it?
Awful.
I wish I could have been here.
We managed. But we'd name him after his dad.
No matter what they throw at us, I promise you, I will get back to you both. Nothing will keep me away. I will always, always be with you.
I know you will. And we'll cope just fine until then.
Well, if I'm not a puddle of tears really fast.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow. So I think about this show often when I think about my dad. And it's pretty great because it ends with this really great Christmas episode. So let's move on pretty quick.
Okay, well, number 1, George, we've all been waiting for it.
So I'm going to tell you a story. One Christmas, I decided to spend by myself and do some traveling. And I really didn't know where Christmas was for me. So I ended up in Ireland and tried to search it. And I wasn't in Dublin. I wasn't in Galway. I was in a little town called Dingle Bay on Christmas Eve. And I went to the pub, which was pretty easy because I was staying in a room above the pub. I think there were 2 pubs in the entire town. One of them officially was illegal. But they did what is called, what I learned to be a pub lock-in. They lock the doors. All of the regulars, all the people in the town are in the pub. And they basically say, okay, nobody's going to get in trouble tonight. And they just sing into Christmas. Wow. And I first heard a song which has, I think, become somewhat familiar to a number of people called A Fairy Tale of New York. It's kind of rough around the edges. The group The Pogues, the Irish group The Pogues, recorded it. And it's about a man and a woman, and he has ended up in a drunk tank in New York City. And it's about promises made and promises broken, but somehow they still hold on to their dreams. So a year ago, Saoirse Ronan, to bring full circle, appeared on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and he asked her, do you know this song? And she said, yeah. And he said, what if we did a pub lock-in right now here with the audience? So let's listen in.
They've got cars big as bars, they've got rivers of gold, but the wind blows right through you, it's no place for the old. When you first took my hand on a cold Christmas Eve, you promised me Broadway was waiting for me. You were handsome,
you're pretty, queen of New York City. When the band finished playing, they held out for more. Sinatra was swinging, all the drunks that were singing. We kissed on the corner and danced through the night. The boys from the NYPD choir was singing Galway Bay, and the bells were ringing out for Christmas Day.
So that's my Christmas memory for you this year. And it's the fairy tale of New York, and we all lift a pint to all of you, and mostly Gemma, thank you so much for giving me a home.
Oh, George, always. It is just so lovely to always have you with us. We've been speaking with our resident movie critic, George Prentice, who, of course, also spends his time hosting Morning Edition, talking about his top 10 list for 2024. You've been listening to Idaho Matters from Boise State Public Radio. I'm Gemma Gaudette.
We could all use a little help navigating the news these days. The Consider This podcast wants to give you a hand. 6 days a week, we'll help you make sense of the day's biggest news story and what it means for you in less than 15 minutes. Listen now to the Consider This podcast from NPR.